CQ, 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 calling CQ the Old Friends Net. This is WA4LLR, Dave in Burnsville, North Carolina, calling CQ the Old Friends Net. This net meets 3 times weekly, Tuesday mornings and Thursday mornings at 9 a.m., Sunday afternoons at 4 p.m. on this frequency. The net is conducted in the Amplitude Modulation mode and carried out in the round table format. We'll take a list of check-ins, get everybody in order, and pass it around. This net's an excellent place to look for parts and pieces, information, especially on vintage type equipment, and the operation thereof. Of course, anyone capable of generating an AM signal is welcome to participate. So, CQ the Old Friends Net. Stations wishing to check in, give me a call or come down.
W4KR, Dave.
WB4ARK.
K4GDN.
He says 4B.
N4LQ. K3OS.
WB4NKL.
Okay, let me tell you what I have so far. I have W4KR, WB4ARK, K4GDN, W2CQH, KZ4B, N4LQ, K3OS, WB4NKL. Do we have anyone else?
W4MEC.
All right, recognizing Charlie, W4MEC. Any others? Okay, one more time down the list. W4KR, WB4ARK, K4GDN, W2CQH, KZ4B, N4LQ, K3OS, WB4NKL, W4MEC. One more time, any others?
W off to your Whiskey Foxtrot 2 uniform.
All right, recognizing WF2U. Good morning, Mir. Any others? All right, we'll have you as tail end Charlie today instead of Charlie. Good morning to everybody. Beautiful morning up here in the mountains of western North Carolina. We've got about 49 degrees and sunny. Incoming rain, though, this evening and tomorrow looks like. They're projecting about a ½ inch of rain tonight and a ½ inch tomorrow. So after I get off the net, I guess I'll go and clean some water breaks out. But other than that, it looks like it's going to be a really nice day. Good signals all the way around this morning, so let's go ahead and get started. Stan, here it comes. W4KR, WA4LLR.
Okay, Dave, thank you. WA4LLR, the Old Friends Tuesday morning gathering, W4KR. Good to hear everybody. Copied everybody. George was on the ragged edge, but he came through. The HRO is still plugging away, and it gathered in George. Got a question for anybody that has an HRO 60. I'm curious about something in the C coil. If you have one that could grab the C coil, something I'd ask whoever that is to look at it, because there's something I want to see. It's something I need to see. I don't want to see. I need to see it. Okay, with that, let's see. Temperature is 57 here this morning, and static level is pretty well gone away. It was pretty. The static level was pretty heavy early this morning, around 5-6 o'clock, but it's gone away. Thankfully. Okay, buddy, to you. Here it comes. WB4ARK, W4KR.
W4KR, WB4ARK. Okay, Stan. Well, the weather here is bright and sunny. Don't see any clouds to the west or up overhead right here. There could be some to the east, but anyhow, the temperature is mild, and we're looking for this rain tomorrow. So the pain is still in my upper shoulder. Not as bad coming down into my arm, but I guess it's situated itself in my upper shoulder, about where the shoulder arm connects to the body. So anyhow, the dose pack seems to have failed in its attempt to rectify this issue. So the prednisolone is the only pill that I can take that seems to deaden the nerve pain. And it lasts generally for about 4 hours, but it kind of makes you a little wobbly, I guess you might say. But it does do its job for that period of time, and then the pain creeps back up again. So that's where we are with the, I guess you might say, the pinch tight nerve. So, with that, over to K4GDN, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK in the group is K4GDN. And, buddy, sorry to hear about the pain still with you. That's really could be a bit of an issue, I'm sure. I'm running the BMW 5100B this morning, putting out about 100 watts to the in-bed bipolar on the black HRO side. I don't have a 60. I've got a 50 T1, so Stan, I can't help you with anything there. And this time around, I'm going to pass on some information. I've done some experimenting with the 811 and 560 amps. Get some comments on that. I'll keep it short this time to do a thing around. So reads coming through you, W2C, CQH in the group, K4GDN.
Read, it's your turn, W2CQH, WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, W2CQH, I cannot copy Myrtle Beach this morning. I sometimes hear him, but not today. Well, good morning, Annette. This was W2CQH. Otherwise, copying everyone else. That's mine and better on this EC348 receiver, and the transmitter is the usual ART13. This restricted down to let me read the frequency. 2714.7. So, forgive me for the drift. Anyway, sorry now, but reading expected late this afternoon. So over to KZ4B.
Pick it up, John, KZ4B, WA4LLR.
Okay, WA4LLR in the group, KZ4 Bravo. Fine business, Dave. I'm not copying Reed at all. I can't even tell that he's in there. The handle here is John. The QTH is the east side of Lake Norman, 2 miles from exit 33 on I-77 North. The rig is a Knight T150 driving an Ameritron AL1500, which in turn is feeding directly a resonant 80-meter inverted B dipole up about 75 feet at the apex. And I wanted to announce that my delinquent tooth is out, so I can eat and talk and do all sorts of wonderful things thanks to my side cutters, which did the job on Sunday evening. So that's the news from Lake Wobegon. I don't know who takes it after me, so back to you, Dave. WA4LLR, and repeat it so I can write it down. KZ4B, over.
Okay, John. It goes to N4LQ. Go ahead, Steve.
All right. Keeping you busy, aren't we? KZ4B in the group, N4LQ. A little hot on the audio here, I believe. Let me back her down a bit. Interesting. All right. Glad your tooth is out, John, and I wonder if you could tell us how this came about. Did you use the needle nose pliers as you mentioned, or did you tie your teeth to the doorknob? Anyway, I have a question or a topic or whatever. We were talking about it last night on 160, and it has to do, it started with a Viking 2 and the oil-filled capacitor, which is 8 microfarads in its power supply, and replacing that with another capacitor. And the subject came up, and I think I brought this up, about using a oil-filled motor run or start capacitor in place of that. These things are cheap. You can buy them almost anywhere. Anybody that sells HVAC parts or Amazon or whatever. So I'm looking at one right here, and of course they're non-polarized, which is an interesting twist on things. This one I'm looking at is 30 microfarads rated at 370 volts. And Cliff says that you can take the 370, multiply it times 2.8, and that will give you the DC equivalent rating for it. So doing that, that gives us 1,036 volts. So there we have this little neat-looking can capacitor that's 30 microfarads and rated at 1,036 volts per DC, and it's $9 at just about anywhere. Check Amazon. That's just an example. I just wonder if anybody on the net has tried this using a motor start capacitor in place of an electrolytic. And that's my question for the day, and on we go to Gary. K3OS, N4LQ.
N4LQ, K3OS. Good morning, everybody. From beautiful Lake Hickory. Don't know how warm it is, but it certainly looks like a beautiful day today. Going to get out and do some, start some of the antenna work project here, get some new ropes up in some of the trees to see if we can't change out some of the antennas that we've got. I took one down already, and this one, the original one, is still up. Running the AF-67 this morning, but I decided to hitch up my SDR Play and using that on receive for the first time. It's kind of fun. Although the SAM mode is disappointing, but the regular AM mode is really terrific, and I don't have to listen to the entire band that I would on the EMR7. If those of you going to the meeting on luncheon on Thursday, I'm in need of a single octo plug, 8-pin octo plug. I don't need the shroud, just a plug. If one of you guys has one in your junk box and wants to bring it, I'd be most appreciative just to finish up the ICO 720, 730. I ran out, and I've already broken one tube to steal the base. I'd rather not do another one. On to Cliff, WB4NKL, K3OS.
K3OS, it's WB4NKL.
Okay, Gary, I'm not coming to the luncheon, but coming to Charlotte, I could bring you one. I don't know if you're going to the Charlotte Ham Fest or not, but I could lay one out. And let's see, Steve, like I said last night, I don't know if you copied or not and all that static, but I have done use the AC capacitors and they seem to work fine. They've got a low ESR and they're just oil-filled capacitors. They're not electrolytic, so you know they're not the some of the non-polarized caps are two electrolytics back to back, but those are actually regular caps. They're not electrolytic, non-electrolytic. Seem to work fine. Say I built an ART-13 supply using them in the high voltage, and it's still going. Been quite a while back, so should work. Go ahead, Charlie. W4 MECs, WB4NKL.
Okay, Cliff. Real good. WB4NKL in the group, W4MEC. Let's see. It's about 51 or so here. And clear outside, or looks nice. And I got a dirty switch on my old Apache here. And yeah, just looking at the tuning and putting out about the right amount of power, 100 watts. So anyway, capacitor. I don't know. I would think the other way around. If it's rated for, let's say, 277 volts, it would that would be the RMS. And 2.828 would be peak to peak, what it was facing. But the RMS would be 277, just like in a regular power supply that has a peak. Well, if you're using a half wave or something. Anyway, there is a peak voltage they deal with, but I'm not sure 2.828 would be the right number. But I guess I've seen them used in gear before, so I know they work, and Cliff says they work. But yeah, and they can be cheap off of what do you call parts houses maybe and Amazon, but they can gig you. My neighbor got gigged, but he didn't pay for it when he lost a start capacitor on I forget exactly what it was. It was some critical thing to his house. Might have been refrigerator, or I can't remember now. And the serviceman, no, I'm sorry, it was the air conditioner unit. And the serviceman was going to replace it and charge him $700 for a start capacitor, and he told him he was crazy. And sent him on his way, and he went and bought one for $14 and put it in himself, you know. So some people make a killing on them. I put a feeler out for a crystal. I'm still tinkering with this HX50 and actually plotted out the darn bandpass of the sideband filter. I took it apart, took the metal case off of it, and there's 6 crystals in there, and a couple inductors, and I took up enough parts to measure each crystal with my little crystal checker, and the crystals are relatively close, amazingly so, a couple hundred cycles off. But the upper sideband crystal falls about at the 30% point when I plotted the shape, whereas the lower sideband is down around 60, which is what it's doing. The lower sideband is nulled out, the upper sideband leaking through. So I'm just, it's just not, it needs to go a couple more hundred cycles farther out than it is to make it work as good as the lower sideband crystal, which is flipped around the other way because it's really the lower sideband crystal is wrong because at the first converter there, the sidebands get inverted. And Steve sent me the rule of thumb on that. I reread that, and I was always confused about how to determine sideband inversion in the transmitter. And if you got a higher HFO and you mix it with the lower crystal that you're going to get sideband inversion. So that's what it was doing. So the lower sidebands are really one that's messed out, and the darn coil inductors in there have got a slug with a square adjustment that is tiny, itty bitty, teeny weeny tiny. So I don't have anything that'll fit in there. I'm going to try and maybe trim a wooden stick off of one of those, cotton swabs that have the wooden sticks on them that I use, and see if I can make a little tuning tool and maybe bump that upper edge of that filter and get it close to the carrier oscillator. See what happens. So anyway, that's the deal with that thing that's in my way. So down the mirror, WF2U in the group, W4. Let me see.
Yeah, Roger. W4MEC and the net. This is WF2U. Good morning, everybody. And nice morning here. And everybody sounds good. Signals are pretty nice. And the noise is low. It's 62 degrees here. And nice sunny day. The humidity is going down. And expecting the rain tonight and tomorrow. Sorry. Okay, so here are the reports since I'm tail end Charlie. I don't want to hijack your name, Charlie, but I can give reports on everybody now. Dave 20/9, Stan 5/9, Buddy 10/9, and regarding your shoulder, I went through tendonitis a couple of years ago in my right shoulder, and it's definitely a pretty achy kind of affair, and I did physical therapy as well. So you would 10/9. George between S7 to 8, pretty heavy QSB on you. The B&W 5100 sounds pretty good. Reed went down to the noise level, which is S4, and was fluctuating between noise level up to S9, so I missed about maybe 30% of the audio as it took those dives into the noise level. John, sympathies for the tooth, but obviously you'll feel much better with it gone. And so you are 15 dB/9, Steve 20 dB/9, and you just sounded not the usual nice and crisp audio. It's not terrible, but it's definitely not the usual stuff. Gary 5 and 9, Cliff 5 dB/9, and Charlie, you were 10 dB/9. I'm using the ASUS station. I was thinking of using my AF-67 PMR7 combo this morning, but for some reason I thought that the conditions might not be great for me to use low power, so I'm back on the ASUS station and putting out just about, let's see, about 300 watts peak. So, and the antenna is the usual end-fed halfway for 80 meters. So with that, it goes back to you, Dave, and thanks for recognizing me. When I called, I haven't had the FL2100B amplifier on yet, so I called with only about 20 watts. Because that's what's driving the amplifier to its maximum on AM. I I could use 25 watts, which is the maximum output on AM of the Yaesu FL101 transmitter, but then it would be overdriving the linear. So I'm down to 20, and you heard me, which is nice. WA4LLR and the group, this is WFTU.
All right, Mayor, fine business. Do we have any other stations that would like to join us? Come now.
WA4EVK.
All right, recognizing WA4EVK and W4 Whiskey Delta. Anyone else? All righty. Well, Boone, go ahead and pick it up and give it over to Bruce, N4WD. And unless somebody else comes in, send it back up to me. WA4EVK, WA4LLR.
W4LLR in the group, WA4EVK. Got a terrific noise in the neighborhood this morning. I'm going to have to track that one down. It's probably coming from here in the house. Some new gadget somebody's bought, turned on. But it's going to have to track it down. Running AF-68 this morning. It's a Swan amp. About 250 watts carrier, it looks like right now. That's fit into an infit halfway, up about 50 feet. Infit halfway cut. This was cut for 160. So that's about it on this end. Could not make out who you said to turn it to, Dave, so I'm going to turn it back to you. W4LLR.
All right, Boone, fine business. It goes over to Bruce, N4WD, Mr. Four-Wheel Drive. Pick it up, WA4LR. All righty, Bruce. One more time. Any others that would like to join, come in. All right, not hearing anyone. Okay, good round. Good round. Let's see. Buddy, I'm sorry to hear the shoulder pain is still with you, and you finished your dose pack. Well, I took my last prednisone yesterday, and my pain's still with me. so I can commiserate with you, my friend. The only thing that so far seems to really help is something you mentioned the other day, and that was gabapentin. And I'm taking it in conjunction with Tylenol, and it seems to help. But the prednisone did not eradicate the issue. I do feel a little better, but the pain's still there, so that's kind of hard to explain. I don't know how that works. George, what I hear of the BMW sounds good, but like Mayor mentioned, there's quite a bit of QSP. Reed, good to hear you in the RT13. John, we're going to have to start calling you Dentist John. That does tooth removal with, I think you said, side cutters. Man, I don't know if I want to visit your office or not. And that is interesting about the AC capacitor, motor start capacitor, and non-polarized. For some reason, you would think that would be an issue, but evidently it isn't. Because usually if Cliff says so, it's so when it comes to this stuff. Gary, the AF-67 sounds good. And Cliff, I'll bet you're not still on the Morrow twins. Charlie, good morning to you. And Mir, you are blasting in up here. Man, I'm telling you, you got a bodacious signal today. Boone, the AF-68, the Swan Amp's doing a good job. And Bruce, you're a little light this morning, but no problems whatsoever. Let's see here. Our space weather. The incoming comet is brightening. It's up to binocular level now that you could see. Our solar conditions, sunspot count's 113. Solar flux index is 140 and the K is 167. A few items from this day in history. On this day in 1770, the Boston Massacre occurred when I guess we harassed the British troops too much and they opened fire. One of the events that galvanized the American Revolution. On this day in 1979, our space probe Voyager flew by Jupiter's innermost moon, Io, and observed 9 active volcanoes. On this day in 1963, Patsy Cline died in an airplane crash at age 30. On this day in 1953, Joseph Stalin died at age 74. On this day in 1946, Prime Minister Winston Churchill popularized the term Iron Curtain, describing the separation of the Soviet Union into Eastern and Central European, from its Central European allies. Or from the allies, rather. Sorry about that. And here's one I know everybody would not want to miss. In 1963, the hula hoop was invented. So there you go. Stan, you were talking about a C coil for the HRO. I've got the C coil for my HRO 50 laying here. I believe it's the same as the 60 until you get above 40 meters. But if you got a question, maybe I can answer something about it. We'll see. So we'll start back around. W4KR, WA4LLR.
Okay, thank you, Dave. WA4LLR, W4KR. Last things first, Dave. The C coil that I got that came with this HRO, which is the 3.5 to 7 general coverage bandwidth, and but it's the its band spread is 7 to 7.3, and the one that I have, let me look at it. Got to do this one-handed because I'm holding on to the to the G stand at the same time. Does not say HRO 60. All the other regular coils do say have HRO 60 stamped on them. I think when you go into band spread mode with the 60 is where it starts. It starts the double conversion section, and the general coverage part works fine, but the band spread part doesn't work. There's nothing wrong with the coil, but what I see that it looks different than the A and B coils in that when you flip it up, turn it around where you're looking at it backwards. In the left side can from the back, the left side can has 3 holes in it, and the B coil does, and the C coil does not. And that is the method that there's a lever action that goes into that hole that releases the switch that kicks on kicks it into double conversion mode, and I think that should have a hole in it, but it doesn't. But I'm going to mess with that some more and see. I have an extra A coil, and I'm going to switch cans and see what happens. But I thought initially, well, there's something wrong with the coil, but electrically, but there isn't. Anyway, thank you, Dave. Dave, you mentioned Patsy Cline's passing. Wasn't she on the same plane with Buddy Holly? I think they were on the same aircraft that went down. And gosh, Buddy, good luck with that. I think that's time is the issue. I assume the purpose of the prednisone was to relieve some stress in there, but yeah, for some folks it works, and for some folks it doesn't. At least when you're off the prednisone, you don't feel quite as wacky as you do when you're on it. I know my wife's been on it a couple of times years back, and it was not a pleasant experience. I'm going to have to sign with this one, guys. Good morning to everybody. I'm not going to go down through the list, copying everybody fine. George, yep, QSB, but you were solid copy out here. Oh, before I do turn it on, one thing I've noticed about this HRO-60, boy, the AM system really works well. They don't use a 6AL5; they used a 686. That's beefier. And guys who are running real close to 100% negative modulation, sometimes, and other receivers will sound muffled. But boy, not on this thing. It gives a good account of itself. Dave, next time around, turn it directly to Buddy, and Buddy, here it comes. WB4ARK, W4KRC, everybody, Thursday morning.
W4KR, WB4ARK. No, Patsy Cline was not on that flight. There was all males on that flight. The Big Bopper and one other guy. Gosh, I forget his name right now. There was 3 singers on that flight and the pilot. So anyway, yeah, I misspoke. Gabapentin. That's what I'm taking every 4 hours or so, and that relieves the pain. And I'm sorry to hear about your dose pack not doing the job. Maybe there's something else that it's done. Maybe it has relieved the swelling in the area. I don't know, but at any rate, it did not finish the job. I thought the last pill, I told my wife, I said, this is the magic bullet, this last pill. This is going to be the saving grace here. This is going to be the pill that activates everything else and fixes the problem. Nope, didn't work. Well, as you know, as everyone knows, or should know, all field capacitors in power supplies, in high voltage power supplies, are not polarity sensitive. Now, that said, whenever I get a oil field capacitor, which I have several in my unit, and I've used some in some other units, whenever I get one, I always measure it with a voltmeter. I pull, if anyone has shorted it out, I take the short off, and I let it sit for about 20 minutes or 10 minutes. and then I measure the terminals to see which one is positive. That tells me if that's the way it was hooked up in the very beginning. And I believe that if you rehook the capacitor, you should make that terminal positive, because the element in there that's doing the insulating, whatever it might be, has formed the plates in the capacitor, and you should put it back the same way. I just believe that that is the best policy. It may be a bunch of bunk, but it may be something that is beneficial. I don't know. So that's my take on oil-filled capacitors, but they are not electrolytic type capacitors like we have in our power supplies. But you would have to put, well, I don't know what the voltage is on this supply, but you would have to put many of those together to equal the voltage rating of the supply, because I think about 450 volts is as high as they come, and you cannot circumvent that level, because that is a DC voltage, so you cannot go above that voltage without injuring the capacitor. So that's my brief take on that. So over to K4GDN, WB4ARK.
WB4ARK in the group is K4GDN. And the other person on the plane with Buddy Holly was Richie Valens, along with the Big Bopper. And you're right, Patsy Klein was not on there. And that's interesting about the oil fields. I know that a lot of older power supplies, particularly military, used oil fields. They may end up being a little more reliable than some of the electrolytics back there in the 40s and 50s. And I did some experiments with 811s and 572Bs and a couple of my linears. And in my homebrew linear, running the 811As, and these are real 811s. They're military. They were probably 15 or 20 years old when I got them, but I don't think they've been used. I got them from Fritz before NTO, and I've had them in the amplifier now 20 years. With the 811s in and driving at about 15 watts, I'm getting 225 watts out. I'm putting in 315, which says I got a dissipation of about 90 watts. With 572Bs in the same condition, I'm getting 225 out with a little bit higher dissipation, about 97 watts. But then the 572Bs have a much higher dissipation limit than the 811As. Now, in the College 30L1 with Chinese 811As, I'm running them up to about their limit as far as dissipation is concerned. For 811As putting out 600 watts, I'm putting in 850, so I'm at 250 watts dissipation, which is beginning to get close to their limit. With two 572Bs, I get out 600 watts with 500 in, again 250 watts dissipation, but that's nowhere close. The 572Bs, a pair of them ought to have a dissipation limit of about 320 watts, whereas the 4811As are about 260. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Another thing that I thought was a little bit interesting here was that the 811s only took 50 watts to get out 600, whereas the 572Bs took 75 watts drive. So anyway, that's what's been going on here. Let's see. So I guess I'll pass it over to Reed. And Reed, I'm not copying you, and I was not copying Bruce at all either. So, Dave, you may have to send it his way. W2CQH K4GDN.
72CQH. Reed, go ahead. WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, W2CQH. Still can't hear George in Myrtle Beach. I hear a voice referring in the noise. That's where oil fills the master and storage. That's old technology. Today we use electrolytic, smaller, cheaper. Just put something on my series to get to 1,000 volts. And don't be resistant equalizer. The voltage equalizer is cheaper. The electrolytic.
Go ahead, John.
Okay, WA4LLR and the group KZ4B. I'm not copying Reed at all. And yes, the Big Bopper had the one-hit wonder Chantilly lace and a pretty face. Hey, baby, you know what I like. I love that. He went with Buddy Holly. And shifting gears, I agree with Buddy. I wasn't copying all of Buddy's transmission. I copied all of Charlie's, and Charlie hit the nail on the head. Buddy may have repeated part of it. Your voltage rating is the ratio of the true RMS voltage, which is how the capacitor is rated, to the peak-to-peak, peak to zero voltage rating. And that ratio is way less than 2 to 1. It's not way over 2. So it'll work fine. You can use a non-polarized electrolytic on DC, but you can't use a DC electrolytic which is polarized on AC, because it doesn't transfer but every half cycle. So yeah, it'll work, but you got to watch the voltage. And let's see, there was something else I wanted to comment on here, and I can't remember. Oh, the tooth. Yeah, this is shade tree dentistry we're talking about. And my problem was that it was a tooth with a crown on it, and the crown, for whatever reason, was tied into a piece of stainless steel wire that went between two teeth. And so even though the root of the tooth was loose, that stainless steel wire was going through the bottom edge of the crown. And I couldn't get it loose, so sort of sitting there swiveling around, screwing up my eating. And so I had to clip away on the bottom edge of the crown to get it loose from the stainless steel wire. I didn't want to clip the stainless steel wire, because then I'd have something sharp in my mouth. And I finally managed to get it. And so that's the extent of the tale of the cheap dentistry. And I feel much better. There was zero. Well, the crown had a post going down into the original tooth, and so that was like having a spear in your mouth when the crown rotated. So it was a mess. So I saved myself a bunch of money. I don't even need to go to the dentist short term. Long term, I'm going to need to get things fixed the right way, but that's mañana. Let's see. I guess that's about it. There's a lot to talk about today. Audio. Let's see here. Steve, your audio sounds fine and you're booming in here. So, I don't know, I didn't understand Mir's comment. So, that be that. So, take it away, Steve. N4LQ in the group, KZ4B, over.
Okay, KZ4B, N4LQ, and I'm not too sure I understood something to do with the lack of high frequency or something like that. I guess Mir's talking about crispness. I can't even say that word, crispness. Anyway, Dave, you have come up with another perfect name or title for a song, and that is just beautiful. I feel better, but the pain's still there. And being a musician, I'm sure you could write a song around that. So get to work on that. Now, I thought when I was a kid, I heard about the Iron Curtain a lot, and of course I listened to the shortwave radio and stuff like that, and I thought and now you've shot that down. So I guess it was just an imaginary political boundary, as Wikipedia says. So that kind of ruined my image of that. And thanks everybody for the comments on the oil-filled capacitor. And Buddy mentioned that apparently they have a learning ability to where if they are used for DC, they will it will change their DNA and they will become somewhat polarized, and we shouldn't interfere with that education we've given them if we have used them in the past that way. I don't know. That's pretty spooky. But there is apparently a big disagreement on the voltage rating, and people are throwing out numbers like, well, Cliff says 2.8 times the published voltage rating, and then others are saying it can't be that, it has to be less. And I heard RMS, peak to peak, and all these different terms, and so there is a disagreement there, and I'd like to see somebody dig in and figure that out. I don't know. Give us the numbers, show us the formula, and we can go from there. Thursday being the luncheon in Spartanburg at 11 o'clock or 11:30, whatever. I think Gary is coming with me. Brian is not able to go. And John, KZ4B, usually rides with John to my house, and we go from there. But I just want to let John know that if he can figure out some way to get here, he's welcome to go with me. So, I think that is about it, and on over to Gary. K3OS, N4LQ.
Okay, Steve, thank you very much. N4LQ, K3OS. Yeah, that's the plan for Thursday. I'll see you at the normal time. Thank you. Looking forward to lunch with all you guys. Cliff, I'm not going to be I don't think I'm going to be at Charlotte. I've got some other things I have to do, but, thanks for the offer. I'll find it. And I'm going to get out of here on this one. It's a beautiful day. I think I got to get out and get a little walking done before we start some antenna work this afternoon. Looking forward to seeing if I can get some more work. Over to you, Cliff. Yeah, I would agree. Mir, you got the loudest I've ever heard you, and some signals are very good. Reed is a little bit down, but I'm getting quite a bit of it over here. So very interesting day. Those before NKL today.
K3OS, WB4NKL. Okay, I missed some of the comments. mattress people arrived, and I had to help them a little bit. So I was out there for a while, so I missed some of the comments on the capacitors. I'd run across some capacitors that had both voltage ratings on them, and I'll have to hunt it up, but I'm pretty sure I've got some that say 350 AC or 1,000 volts DC, and I'll have to hunt one of those up. But I was thinking that, and it might be different capacitor companies rate them different, but I was thinking that capacitor has to, if it's an AC rating, I was thinking that would be it could stand that peak to peak. And to change peak to peak to RMS, you divide by 2.8. So that was what I was going on, plus the fact that I've seen some capacitors where it was almost 3 times the DC rating, where they had both ratings. So, but I could be wrong, but I have used them way over 1.4 times. I put some in the power supply at least double, and they've been there for years. So, and it might, like I say, all depend on who built the capacitor and how they established their AC rating. So there might be some. I looked on the internet too, and there's controversy there too. But I guess you'd be safe at 1.4 for sure, and above that maybe. It's I guess the correct answer. So say 73s, I need to get back out to and get started on some work on this pretty day. That's going to be up in the 70s here. So go ahead, Charlie. W4 MEC, WB4 NKL.
Okay, Cliff, W4 NKL on the group W4 MEC. Alrighty. Yeah, I forgot to comment on John's tooth removal there. That was quite graphic. Just picturing that gave me the creeps there. So, but anyway, yeah, I told my wife this, and she thought it was something he only did in stories or a cartoon. But my dad actually tied a tooth with a thread into a doorknob and took a tooth out when I was a kid. Doing that method. I don't know if that was cruel and unusual, but it worked. But he actually did that one time for me, and that was the only one he took out like that. But I don't know if my mom got on him or what, but never had any trouble with it. But it's a quick way of taking a tooth out. But, the only other place I've seen that done is a cartoon, I think. But anyway, still working on my old truck here, trying to get the carburetor back together and see if I can get this thing fired up and get it running and make it to the lunch with it on Thursday. So, and hopefully that project will go back together easily. I'm also taking off a couple things that it doesn't need. It's got all kinds of pollution control gadgets that don't work anymore. Hoses going here and there. And I've been reading up on just how to make it simple. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. So, and going back to a pre-pollution motor there. But anyway, that's a vacuum line going to my brake booster, but that's about it. And hopefully that will work. We got we got the Tuesday night 6-meter group there. 2 or 3 of us get together. If we wake up, if we remember, and we're here. So anybody in the local area that's got 6 meters can join us for sure. All right, let's see. It goes back to Mir. WFT and W4 MEC.
Yeah, Roger. W4 MEC and the net. This is WF2U. Oh, yeah, I forgot to reply about that AC capacitor. Okay, the standard in the industry, and then I'll explain why, is the root mean square of the AC rating, the RMS. You can't use the twice the AC rating, because the insulation does not care if it's a negative or a positive, as long as the insulation for the same voltage. Don't forget that the sine wave is zero crossing. So basically, you take the RMS of the AC voltage. If the capacitor is not rated for DC specifically, then you use the root mean square, which means 1.414 of the AC, and that's the DC that you would be using for. That means that you're just taking it from the zero to the RMS of the sun. That's why it's the RMS, because as I said, the insulation doesn't care if one plate is negative and one plate is positive, as long as it does not exceed the insulation. So if the AC goes through the zero and then it changes, it's still only the voltage that the root mean square voltage on one polarity or the other. You cannot add the two and consider that as DC. So actually I forgot to reply, because I know that from my work while I was still before retirement and before switching to network engineering, when I was in RF design and all that. As a project engineer, and actually most of my engineering career I was on high power, very wide band power amplifiers, including some special power supplies that I had designed for. So anyway, it's the root mean square, so it's the DC voltage that you can safely use it without it being specified on the capacitor is 1.414 of the rated DC, the rated AC voltage of the cap. So that's the story about that. What else? Oh yeah. Let's see. Yeah, George disappeared the second half of the transmission. Was starting as about S7, and then slowly by about half slipped down below the noise level, which is only about S4, sometimes close to 5, and then I just heard at the end. But everybody else is holding up very, very nicely with the signal strength. So, oh yeah, Boone, you were under heavy QSB because your signal is swinging between S7 and 10+9. I mean 9+10. And Bruce, you holding between S5 and S7, but 100% copy. So with that, it goes back to Boone, the WA4 EVK. This is WF to you.
I think he turned it over to me. I've got QSB problem and everything else going on around here this morning. One question I had for Charlie, we have another round, is did you get the information on standby generators I forwarded to you? And with that, I think Bruce is next in line. N4WD, WA4EVK.
N4WD, Bruce, go ahead if you're copying. I'm not hearing Bruce if he's in there.
But I was in the other room.
we don't say 73 around that. So we'll hear about 5. We'll listen a little bit, but we'll say 73 here by you. If it ain't storming, take it back. So, good luck on getting your formulas there, Steve. I hope you get them there, figure that out. And everybody take it easy. God bless you on everyone today. WA4LLR N4WD.
Bruce, fine business, 7-3, and you have a good day. Do we have any late check-ins coming in? All right, guess we do not. Okay, let's see. Stan checked out, Gary checked out, Cliff checked out, and Bruce checked out. But we can do a quick 73 round if you like, and hopefully the band will hold up. The plane crash that killed Patsy Cline also took out Cowboy Copus and Hawkshaw Hawkins, and the pilot was Randy Hughes in that one. So yeah, that was a different tragedy. And Steve, on that perfect country song, I Feel Better, but the pain's still there. I'm afraid in order to write that, I'd have to have a 6-pack of Blue Ribbon, and it's been many years since I partook, so I don't know. I may not be able to write that under normal conditions. Anyway, we'll do a quick 73 round. Buddy, you'll start. Steve, you give it over to Charlie. And Boom, give it back to me. WA4ARK. Hope you get to feeling better. WA4LLR.
WA4LLR, WA4ARK. All right. Well, Mir's correct on that. It's 1.414. And you can check the amateur handbook under high voltage power supplies in the transformer capacitor section. It talks about that. And so that's the end of that story. So you can put all those other comments to rest. That's the fact. So if you want to go a little higher, it won't hurt. But it's 1.414. So anyway, hope everybody has a great week. Hope the pain continue to improve with time, and thought they certainly would by now. So I will send a curse email to my doctor and explain to him that maybe the MRI wasn't such a bad idea after all. So anyway, it goes to, I guess it doesn't go to George. Does it go to W2CQH? Or maybe QZ4B? I'm not sure. Anyway, whoever, take it. This is WB4ARK saying 73, and thanks, Dave, for doing the net.
Dave, does it go to me?
Check. George, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here just listening, but I don't have much to say. I say 73. Sorry I'm going to miss the meeting. And Dave, thanks for calling that. But I do plan to come to the April meeting. So I guess maybe either it goes to Reed or it goes to John. It's K4GD at 73, guys.
Okay, George, fine. Reed, are you still with us? W2CQH, WA4LLR. I believe Reed's gone. John, go ahead.
Okay, WA4LLR and Group KZ4B, fine business. And yes, 1.414 is the root mean square. So that is the ratio. You just go from zero crossover to either peak. You don't have to go peak to peak. But I think that horse is dead. And Steve, thank you for the invite. I haven't decided whether I'm going to try to make the trek myself all the way to your place, but I will call you Thursday morning and let you know if I'm coming. And because it's possible I might get lost. I'm going to try to go the same way that we normally travel. It's a neat shortcut, and if I do brave it. So I will let you know. And that's all I've got. Enjoyed it today. Quite interesting. And let's see. Steve, you're there, so over to you. N4LQ in the group, KZ4B over, and clear.
Oh yeah, I'm still here. And well, John, I don't know if you. Now I'll be the network control Thursday, so if you call, I may have to kind of keep it a short one on the phone. But you just tell me if you're coming or not, and I'll put you on the D104 so everybody can hear you. How's that? Anyway, hope you can make it. And Dave, I don't think you have to have the PAPS blue ribbon to write that song. Just do it, and I can just hear it now. It's going to go to #1, shoot straight to the top. And so the majority are saying 1.414. And I guess really it all boils down to what does that rating mean on the capacitor. It's written on there. And most of them I've looked at say 370/440 volts AC. And I'm like, well, which one is it? There's a big difference. So I don't know. But that's what they say on the can. And Cliff, if you've got one that has both AC and DC voltage ratings on it, I think that would be pretty incriminating. So see if you can find one, take a picture, and throw it out there on the groups.io net for us. 73s to everybody, and over to Charlie. W4MEC, N4LQ.
Okie dokie, N4LQ in the group, W4MEC. All right, yeah, Boone, I did get your email. I read it there, and I guess I could pretty much forget having to deal with the neutral switching, which I thought was SOP years ago. I thought that power companies wanted complete isolation of their service from a standby generator. But looking back, most of my work was in three-phase, and that was they had three conductors there for that, and they didn't. I don't remember them breaking the neutral there too, but I vaguely remember a fourth contact, really, next to some of those switches that was not underneath the flame protector around the other three contacts. So maybe it was always breaking the neutral. I don't know. But anyway, I don't have to do it on the house. That's the main thing. It's amazing how transfer switches, genuine whole house transfer switches, up to 100 amps are fairly affordable, but once you pass 100 to 150 to 200, then they go like 3 times as much. They go from 200 to 700 to 1,000, and but up to 100 amps. And I didn't particularly want to do one of those panels where you isolate all out different circuits. I just wanted to cut the whole house in and and turn off what I don't need. But right now we're just gonna leave it the way I've got it. So. All right, fellas, we'll look for you on Thursday, in the morning there, and hope to see you Thursday at lunch. So I think Boone's still there. WA4EBK in the group W4MEC.
WA4MEC in the group WA4EBK. Yeah, Charlie, UL has gone into an absolute flap in the past over the grounding of the neutral in the generator to the generator case, and caused me personally just unbelievable grief in my former job until we got it all sorted out. The problem was really kicked off by the higher pole count generators and the
desire for UL to see a GFI in the generator. We had to very carefully let them understand that our generator sets were not emergency generator sets, and when that happened, they left us alone. But it is an absolute nightmare to figure out some of that. And you're right, if you don't go for one of the high pole count generators, it will not have a grounded to the case neutral, and you shouldn't have to break the neutral. Anyway, I'd rather forget I ever had to deal with that. Just one of those things. I've got that DX100 I'm going to bring. I'll check with you, though, Wednesday about it. And that's about it for me. 73, everybody. And I'm not sure if Bruce signed, so I'm going to turn it back to Bruce. And I can't hear him. He's a pretty weak signal here. So N4WD, WA4EVK.
Did we skip Mayor?
Yes, you did.
All right, Mayor, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Okay, this is WF to you. All right, just to cut 3. I just want
Squeeze the mic.
About the caps. The caps usually list those AC caps list the common line voltages that they are used on because the users are not really engineering types, and let's say somebody wants to put on a 440 circuit. Somebody wants to put on a 240 circuit and has a cap that says 440. Might not put it, because I see even on some ham Facebook pages that people are asking, well, I have only need a 22 microfarad electrolytic cap for 250 volts, and I have only a 450. Can I use it? So that's the kind of a question. So it has nothing to do with that. Just the common three-phase and single-phase values that these capacitors might be applied in some fixed, in some fixed applications, like XY motor needs an XY value capacitor at a certain line voltage that is specified, and that's it. And somebody might not use it if, let's say, if he has like a 240 and it says 440, and it's not the right rating. So that's why it might be confusing to people actually trying to over-engineer these things. But no, the correct calculation is the opposite. And then sometimes imagine if they have a DC rating, then it's actually the real DC rating, and it has a lot of safety margin on the RMS value of the line voltage that it's going to be used with. So if it has a DC voltage rating on that value, because
Is Mayor still in there?
Yeah, he's talking to himself.
Yeah, I think his audio's breaking up.
He doesn't squeeze the mic hard enough.
Regarding the neutral line, I have the Interac operator that once it's called a construction site generator, which is exactly the enclosed whole house generators inside the enclosure, and just wheels that you can roll it around. And I have a manual changeover which I bought for 200 amp that I.
He's going to talk down the repeater.
When I did it, like, 15 years ago, it was still over $500, $600 or so. So I bought one on eBay, brand new, and it's a brand name. I forgot right now what it was, for $225. And I installed it all the way up to the connection to the electric meter, for which I had to get a certified electrician that was certified to do that. And that's all I did, and the neutral goes all the way through from that box to the meter box. Anyway, so with that 73, everybody, was a nice net. Conditions were not bad, and I'm not sure about Thursday, but I'll try to make it. Although it's not raining, so my training would be most likely on. I might cancel it just to meet, but I have a herding trial at the end of the month, and hate, on the other hand, to lose training time. But anyway, 73. Have a good day, good week, everybody. And back to you, Dave. Thanks for running the net. WA4LLR, WF to you, clear.
Break. Dave, I'd like to address Steve's last question. Over.
Okay, go ahead, John. Yeah, boy.
You got it.
Okay, Steve, I think the reason for those two voltage ratings on the capacitor has nothing to do with AC versus DC. On a 50 hertz system, the standard voltage is 380 volts, no load, line to line. On the our 60 hertz system, it's 480 volts, so it's a voltage rating for the 50 hertz system versus the voltage rating for our 60 hertz system. So if it shows up in Europe, or especially England, it's the 377 or whatever it was, whereas here it'd be 440 or 460. And shifting gears, as far as the generator neutral controversy, I spent a large part of my career designing generators for all types of systems. And the code discourages ever interrupting the neutral for any reason. Because the transfer switch, if it malfunctions, if you lose the contact for the neutral, you end up with a floating neutral, which is going to cause high voltage on some phases and low voltage on others, which wipes out equipment. And of course, what you have to do, you have to go with the local inspector. And some inspectors are ill-informed. only the French code in Europe, as far as I know, allows for interrupting the neutral. All other codes say the neutral goes straight through. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. 73s, it was a great net. WA4LLR in the group, KZ4B, over.
All right, John. Anyone else have any final comments before we close down? Nothing heard. Mir, we're going to buy you a hand exerciser for your birthday, because a lot of your transmission, evidently you weren't squeezing the mic tight enough because you had a good carrier, but the audio kept popping in and out. So either mic connection, mic cable, or not enough pressure on the switch. One of the two. Anyway, gentlemen, I've enjoyed it. Hope everybody has a great day. 7-3, God bless, and Lord willing, we'll catch you Thursday, hopefully in person. This is WA4LLR, Dave in Burnsville, North Carolina, closing this session of the Old Friends Net. 7-3.
30 contacts and a D104 mic stand.
I feel better.
Yeah, sometimes I release it as I'm getting into something, and I don't pay attention to it, so I might be partially releasing it. 73, all thanks.